Section 3. The post-active phase, systematic evaluation and data triangulation. The moment the students leave the classroom, the teacher shifts into the post-active phase, initiating the first formal stage of reflection on action. Unlike the rapid, intuitive adjustments of the interactive phase, this stage is characterized by systematic, detached, and data-driven analysis of what transpired. The initial lesson plan document now transforms into a data collection and diagnostic tool. 3.1. Triangulating data sources. Effective post-lesson reflection necessitates a comprehensive examination of multiple data streams to avoid relying solely on subjective feelings about how the lesson felt. The reflective teacher systematically collects and analyzes formative and summative data. All written work, quizzes, formal assessments, and exit tickets are compiled. The teacher categorizes errors, identifying patterns, where the errors due to a specific section of the lesson, a misunderstanding of the directions, or a prerequisite skill deficit. 2. Observation notes. The teacher reviews mental notes, anecdotal records, or formal observation checklists recorded during the interactive phase. These capture qualitative aspects, student engagement, group dynamics, and the effectiveness of transitional moments. 3. Student feedback. Informal interviews plus delta. Feedback forms, or structured reflection prompts completed by students. This crucial source provides insight into student perception of the lesson's clarity, pace, and relevance. Data triangulation is the process of synthesizing these three distinct data types to form a holistic picture. For example, a teacher might feel that a lesson failed, observation note. However, the final test scores, summative data, might show 80% mastery. The student feedback, qualitative data, reveals they felt the lecture was confusing, but the subsequent activity was highly effective. The triangulation suggests the delivery method of the initial content needs revision, not the content itself or the activity structure. This nuanced understanding is the product of disciplined post-active reflection. 3.2. Root cause analysis beyond surface-level findings. The most crucial step in the post-active evaluation is root cause analysis (RCA). It requires the teacher to move beyond simply noting what went wrong and delve into why it went wrong, connecting outcomes back to the specific choices made in the pre-active plan. The RCA process involves asking a structured series of reflective questions, often referred to as the 5 whys technique. Observation. Only 50% of students mastered Objective A. What happened? Why number 1? Because they couldn't correctly apply the main formula. Why number 2? Because they confused 2 key variables in the setup. Why number 3? Because the lesson plan only provided 2 practice examples, neither of which contrasted the 2 variables directly. The root cause lies in the pre-active design. Without this level of deep reflection, the teacher might mistakenly conclude the students lacked motivation or ability. The reflective teacher, through RCA, concludes that the fault lay in the design of the instruction or the scaffolding provided. This shifts the locus of control and responsibility back to the educator, validating the profession as one requiring constant intellectual engagement and technical refinement. The written plan now becomes the blueprint being critiqued and improved. 3.3. Evaluating the linguistic environment. The linguistic expert adds another layer to the RCA, the evaluation of the lesson's communicative environment. Reflection here focuses on the output hypothesis, Swain. Did the activities require students to produce meaningful, comprehensible output, thus pushing them beyond their current linguistic limits? Interaction. Were there equal opportunities for all students to speak? Or was the discourse dominated by a few high-proficiency learners? Feedback mechanism. Was the language feedback provided during the interactive phase effective, or was it too general? For example, if the RCA reveals that students failed to correctly analyze a historical event, the linguistic analysis might reveal the root cause was not the historical content itself, but the lack of structured sentence starters, scaffolding, necessary for expressing complex causality. Although X occurred, the primary catalyst for Y was Z because the post-active reflection identifies the need for a targeted linguistic revision to the next iteration of the lesson plan. Section 4. The recursive phase, refinement and professional development. The final and most essential component of lesson planning as a reflective cycle is the recursive phase, where the insights gained from the post-active evaluation are integrated back into the pre-active design of the next lesson or the next iteration of the same lesson. This closing of the loop is where professional growth is instantiated. This phase transforms reflection on action into reflection for future action. 4.1. Iterative planning and archiving. The lesson plan document itself should be treated as a living, editable draft, not a finalized report. The recursive phase involves annotating the original plan with detailed notes based on the root cause analysis. These annotations serve several crucial purposes. Instructional memory. They prevent the teacher from making the same design errors the following year. Time saving. They document what materials worked and what didn't, streamlining future preparation. Immediate transfer. They identify elements that need to be adjusted for the next sequential lesson in the unit, ensuring that remediation is immediate and targeted. This process essentially creates a personal teaching archive or instructional portfolio. The quality of this archive, measured by the detail and depth of the reflective notes, is the most accurate barometer of a teacher's commitment to growth. It shifts the perception of a lesson from a one-time event to a perpetually improving prototype. 4.2. Incorporating critical feedback. The reflective cycle is significantly amplified when it moves beyond self-evaluation to incorporate external perspectives. This involves seeking and synthesizing feedback from colleagues, mentors, or instructional coaches, the concept of the critical friend. Sharing the lesson plan, pre-active, the observation notes, interactive, and the data, post-active, with a colleague provides an invaluable external check on potential blind spots. For example, a teacher might reflect on a classroom management issue. Their self-reflection might blame student behavior. A critical friend reviewing the plan might point out that the transition time between Activity A and Activity B was 6 minutes too long, creating an opportunity for distraction, a structural flaw in the pre-active design. This external perspective, grounded in the shared document and data, ensures that reflection remains honest, objective, and structurally focused, rather than devolving into mere self-praise or self-criticism. 4.3. Metacognition and developing a signature pedagogy. The highest level of the recursive phase is metacognitive reflection, thinking about the way one thinks about teaching. Through repeated cycles of plan, act, analyze, refine, a teacher begins to identify their own signature pedagogy, the unique set of instructional preferences, theoretical beliefs, and classroom habits that define their style. For example, a teacher might consistently find that their students learn best when content is presented through collaborative problem-based learning, PBL, followed by an individual writing synthesis task. The recursive reflection leads the teacher to formally adopt this model, internalizing the theoretical principles, e.g., constructivism, social learning theory, that justify its success in their specific context. The lesson plan is no longer just a schedule of activities. It is a manifestation of the teacher's evolved professional identity, built upon hundreds of preceding reflective cycles.